Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy unexpected Thursday morning. Was not planning to stream anytime on Wednesday. I wasn't planning on streaming for the rest of the week given our move situation. However, I knew that the Lanterns teaser was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out tomorrow from everything I had heard, but gnat or something. But they willed it into existence today, so I gave it a watch, and I've been watching the discourse about it. Not watching, but seeing it come up and down timelines and all kinds of other places. Listen, I'm not going to tell anybody how to feel. That's going to be up to grown men, women, boys, and girls. I liked it. It is consistent with what Damon Lindelof has given me as far as entertainment goes. I know there's been a lot of I don't want to use the word whining because I think that's a little harsh, but like I said, every time we come up with one of these movies, people manufacture, in my opinion, things to take digs at it. But one of the weakest things that I've heard, and it's always comes about, and it's a term that I want to go away when it comes to these comic book movies, comic book accurate. Now, that may sound like blasphemy, right? Because, it's a comic book movie. It should be comic. No. You know what's comic book accurate? Comic book. I got a building full of them. When we're making a movie or when I'm watching a movie, I am watching a movie. I am not reading a comic book. When I want the look and feel of a comic book, I can reach out and grab one from anywhere in any direction. Even movies that are based on comic books or comic books inspired are still movies. And a lot of things have come up about the costume. We're going to go ahead and watch the trailer here in a second, probably get demonetized and kicked off. So for those of you who are watching this and there ends up being a huge chunk that I had to edit out if I get zapped, just go ahead and imagine this teaser. It is not a trailer. It is a teaser. One of the biggest differences between a teaser and a full-on trailer is we know the premise. We know the premise of what's going on. Right now, the only thing I know is that Hal Jordan is training Jon Stewart. That's all I know, and that there's some kind of mystery. The trailer will actually give me the premise. So right now, this is just a teaser, but I liked it. Let's go ahead and see if StreamYard doesn't mess this up. Like I said, those of you who are watching this in a decent hour, if there's like a big, if there's a big 2 minute and 21 second thing that's missing, that means I got bratted. But it doesn't make any sense for me not to show it. You know, if we got to edit it, we got to edit it. So here we go.
With all due respect, we've been training for what, 2 months? And I haven't even worn the ring yet. Don't get hung up on the jewelry, Junior. You're just a fucking substitute teacher. You're not ready to get up in front of the class until the ring says you are. All right.
I could have died.
You want me to train you? I'm training you.
Something is off here. I can feel it.
This is my town. You're a big shot. Noted. But stay the fuck out of my way.
Think she hates your guts.
It's the way she hates them.
This is a stupid plan.
Not that stupid.
That I don't doubt. The Green Lantern's oath is to protect people. And we both know I do a better job of this than you.
This is my job. As long as I'm alive, that ain't changing. So take a deep breath, Junior.
You're old. You're tired. And your time is up.
I don't understand. Who are you exactly?
Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Have you ever talked with the other lanterns?
I'm the only human. They're aliens. One of them's a fucking squirrel.
All right. Full disclosure. The guy who's putting this together is in my opinion one of the better storytellers of our generation. If you don't believe me, you can look at the first 2 years of Lost. Don't kind of dodge the last 2 years. Let's take a look at The Leftovers. But the most stunning superhero thing that he's done that proves to me that he could handle these type of stories with no problem is going to be Watchmen. And I felt the Watchmen vibe in there. I am on board. Now, a couple of things that I did like, the intensity between Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. It looks like you got a good cop, bad cop type of thing there going on. But what we do have more so than anything else is if they're going with the true canon of Jon Stewart or the revised canon, you have a young Marine and a very experienced Air Force officer, a very experienced pilot. And like I said before, when we saw the two walking side by side, you could see it in their faces. One guy is coming in thinking, he has a new concept, new way of doing things. The old ways don't work. It's a reckless. And then you have the guy who's seen it all and has walked through every door that the other guy has already walked into. I love that intensity there. There's not a lot of context here, and that's what makes this a teaser instead of a trailer. I don't know who the villains are. I don't know what the story is, other than Hal training John. And John, we know that Jon Stewart hasn't put on the ring. I like that there was more added to the scene. The whole substitute teacher route. I enjoyed that. I don't know. I get the. I don't know if they would do anything like kill Hal Jordan off and turn the show over to John, but I don't think they would do that. I don't know how this is going to coexist so far, but I did enjoy it. I did the costume. Now, this is the biggest thing that I've been watching, going back and forth and trying to restrain myself from interacting with this whole costume, because I think it's nonsense. Every time it seems that when we have these comic book movies come out, we, the general audience, think we know about the story that's being told than the person telling the story. Everything in a comic book movie and or TV show is there as a part of the presentation of that storyteller's story. And when we see the costume hanging in the closet, I thought the world was going to end with some people. And it's how come it's got to be leather? And then everybody wanted to show the 2011. Well, oh, this is how you do costume. Now that movie bombed, by the way. And be honest with you, and I know a lot of people are, will defend that movie, and that's fine if you like the 2000 version of Green Lantern. That's great. I didn't like that movie. There are so many things I don't like about that movie. I just don't count anymore, and I just don't watch it anymore. I like Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a tremendous talent. I don't think he was properly casted in there. I did not like the story. There were good performances in that movie, but that's about it. I don't think it's an accident that it did what it did. But that is not even if I liked that costume, and I don't like anything about that movie for the most part. That costume was a tool for that storyteller to tell that Green Lantern story. And the reason I can put it together that I didn't like any aspect of that is because I've seen the movie. Now I'm biased with Damon Lindelof, but at the same time, none of us have seen what the context of any of that is. Why is that suit hanging in there? Why is it that color? Why is it, does he even wear it? Will it even make an appearance in the show? Does he use his ring to create a costume that he carries with him now? Because there is precedent for the Green Lantern to have a closet, have a costume that he has to put on. Most notably, I'll give you a prime example of it, and it's the very first example you ever have of the Green Lantern in Showcase Comics number 22. When Hal Jordan first encounters his benefactor there. Hold on, I'm going to bring it up here. Right here, and I'm taking this from CBR.com because it was the quickest one I could pull up. You clearly see the very first time he puts on the ring, he puts on the ring, but the costume does not materialize on him. He actually takes it off of him and puts it on. Yeah. So, once he passes, once he expires there, right there, or actually passes, he hands him the ring first. The ring does not automatically change Hal Jordan's clothes into the Green Lantern like it would on other occasion. He actually puts the costume on. So there's a precedent right there for that. Also, come on, StreamYard. And I saw this floating around a couple different sites. There he is, sitting with the ring on, costume hanging right behind him. Now, granted, this is earlier stuff, but there is a precedent, and we don't know where Damon Lindelof is putting this as far as, how long he's been a Lantern for a while. But there is precedent for the costume to be a physical costume, even though the vast majority of times, whoever puts on the ring automatically materializes, and then that's the way they do it. But, this is his story. So whatever sequence of events that lead them to that being there, don't you see that again? That's fine. I had no real issues with the trailer other than the teaser, other than the fact that it didn't really give me context of the story. I've been waiting. I feel like I should have already been through this already because the series was supposed to premiere a while back. So now we're waiting till August, which is fine. It'll get here. I didn't have too many complaints about it. I never listen. When we did the whole Superman thing, I didn't like the Superman costume. I hate that costume. I hate the trunks. I don't like the color. I don't like the way the color bleeds out. And I get a lot of people that I talk to in person and, on the internet and anywhere else who think that 100% of the time, everything needs to translate as it is seen on the Four Color Fantasies, which is, the old words for comics. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you can get brilliant. Sometimes you can get ridiculous. Sometimes it doesn't work. I don't think it works in Superman, to be honest with you. Even though I enjoyed the movie, had fun with the movie, the color of his costume and the grade of his costume bothered me. I wasn't a fan of it. But even though these things are being adapted from one format to another, you have to understand at the end of the day, no matter what is being adapted, what the source material is, we are making a TV show and we are making a movie. And people I think, would be better off if they remembered it that way. Like I said, there will be times when the ridiculous costume could come out. But even look at what Spider-Man's bright and brilliant, the way Steve Ditko, and Co made him earlier in the day. But when you see Spider-Man 2002, it's the same recognizable costume, but it's not bright and crazy. It took us, to be honest with you, up until recently to get a costume like that because comic book movies were more accepted. But I don't think that's 100% necessary. I mean, if you want the look and feel of a comic book beyond what you're getting in adaptation, listen, go to your local comic book store and pick up some comics. That's how I feel about it. All right, what did you guys think about it? Larry, thank you for the $5 super chat. William, how do you feel about Lanterns being R-rated and darker, more adult? I wonder what people I don't care what people who disapproved of BVS, because the problem I have here is I am of a different side of things. I think too much of comic books has been kidified. I think too many of these IPs have been neutered, cut up, and made digestible for an audience that, in many cases, when you come to the modern era, they weren't really aimed at. So I am 100% okay with this being R, and I'm happy as hell that it's on HBO Max, where it can be the type of show that I think it could be. And remember, I have an issue with a lot of the guys who didn't like the tone of BVS and movies like it, grew up on things that were literally pared down so that they didn't offend anybody. Just because they came through that era doesn't mean that's what, that's the definition of the character. All right, I got another one here. Thank you for being a member for 20 months too, by the way, Larry. All the support in the world, and thank you for the $5 super chat. All right, let me go to the top, because this is not going to be a long stream. Like I said, I just wanted to put my opinions out there about the trailer, because like I said, if it were any other thing, maybe I wouldn't even jump on. But you guys know how I feel about. My motto was, I will endure everything. Just get me the Lanterns. Just get me the Lanterns. I even put it. Just get me the Lanterns. That's Superman. Okay, if this is what I got to do to get the Lanterns, let's get this. Let's do it. Let's get it over it. Let's go. And all right. Lanterns was good. Lantern trailer was good. Didn't see too much. Yeah, it was a teaser, and they didn't give you a lot. So I'm waiting for the second trailer. Actually, no, the first trailer, and that will give us because there's a lot of things in there that are mysterious. A lot of what's going on with those warehouses. Who are those people? So yeah, there's a lot. Reportedly, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer and Brand New Day trailers are ready, just not need to be released. Okay, cool. Let's see. Clinton, how are you doing? I saw Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I really enjoyed it. I love the name of that. I haven't seen it, but I love the name of that. Let's see. Yeah, it should be Thursday in New Zealand. It should be Thursday night, almost. Let's see. Hello, Aaron. How are you doing? How you doing, Slipknot? Oops, hold on for a second. Oops, don't do that. Idiot. Had to sneeze. Get that out of there. So. It's interesting. Like, well, are we talking about the Lanterns trailer or the movie, the Good Luck movie that you saw? Well, even though I say that, I always roll with whatever, I never want to get on without anything to talk about if I have an off day. But like I said, I've been excited about Lanterns for a while, so I figured I'd jump on, and we'll go into more detail through, in other streams as we get closer. But I was really excited about this, so I figured I'd jump on. Jalen Harris, hey William, just want to say comic fandom sucks and there's no answer. You know what? Some of them are, and like I said, you have to just and this is coming from a comic book guy. I mean, I'm not, it's not like I am, looking down on my people here, but it's how sometimes we act when it comes to these things. We always want to shove our story in somewhere where it doesn't belong. We always want to shove our perception somewhere. Well, it's not my perception; it's in the book. We always want to act like the papers in the staple are a gospel that the storyteller who has been hired to tell the story has to go by. In the comic books at this point in the game are a reference. They are a reference, and some have chosen to go full on, one for one with that reference, and some use them as just a reference. They tell the story that they're going to tell. I'm more interested in hearing, and watching what Damon Lindelof has to say than a lot of the people who they only want to use what they've seen in the comic books to assume that that's where the story has to go. That's the way it has to look. Listen, if that's the way I want it, like I said, I have a building full of these things. I can just go do that. Why am I investing in another storyteller's vision if all I'm going to do is hold up the comic and say, no, wait a minute, no, sometimes it will be right on. Sometimes it doesn't have to be. It all depends on who's telling the story. This storyteller has decided that this is the way he's going to tell a story, and I'm interested in seeing it. Just like, and like I said, stop comparing the comics in the movie as if he can't waver from that whatsoever. All it has to be, for the most part, is instantly recognizable. And I said that about Superman's costume. I did not like any aspect of Superman's costume. I did not like the Kingdom Come S. I thought that should be only on the Kingdom Come story. I didn't like the colors grades on it. I didn't like the trunks. I didn't like the way it fit. I didn't like, I didn't like anything about it. But it passed the only test it needed to pass. That's Superman. I instantly recognize that costume and that person wearing it as Superman. If it ever happens and Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart wears whatever costume they wear, the only thing it really has to do is be instantly recognizable as a Green Lantern. From that point on, he can go in any direction that he wants to. And then as consumers, you have, the right to not like it or like it. But there is no golden rule that says everything that bleeds out of a comic has to bleed so on the screen 100%. I mean, there's many cases where some of the best comic movies out there have not necessarily done that. So, yeah. But we go through this every time we get a comic book movie. And listen, comic book collectors are special to me. But at the same time, I can't, even as a collector, I've seen some of the fan art and some of the things. This is how it should look. And some of these look ridiculous. I can't tell you how many I've seen today. Well, how hard was it to do this? And they look awful. And I count my lucky stars that none of these people are given a costume budget to do anything. That none of these people are actually in the catbird seat making movies. Because we some of us think looks great, will look ridiculous, and that's not the story that storytellers tell. Why would you force your vision on someone else's story? You know what you can do? If you're that talented, if you're that great, then get a job in movie making and in TV show running and create your vision. But people want to force these. Some of these were really bad looking today. And that because I was looking up Green Lantern and they all start to come on the timeline. I'm like, oh God. Some of them look like Lego with green spray paint on them or something like that. But they want that. They think that is better than what Damon Lindelof and company were presenting. So yeah, we got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt. Love you all, but damn. Brad has an early training thing for some other belt he's doing, and we weren't supposed to stream tonight, so I sent him he always is invited to come on, but this show was not planned. I did not know we were getting anything today from Green Lantern. I was so it made my day to see this, by the way. Hunter Iggy question: I believe the suit is in the closet. Might be Alan Scott. Did you see the other suit there? Yeah. I think it's Hal Jordan, but there's so many. I can't tell you why it looks like that or why it's there because I don't have any information. Maybe in this iteration of Green Lantern, it is something that it gets put on. It is a costume that is worn. Maybe be like it was in earlier days of Hal Jordan. Maybe he can make a suit out of the energy, but he chooses not to do that to conserve energy. Or that is one of the first suits he wears because depending on who's writing Green Lantern, the suit just doesn't come over his regular clothes. The ring can transmute what he's wearing into what it needs to be. So in that case, maybe when he never transmuted it back. There's a lot of different reasons, and not all of that's going to be up to what David Lindelof determines is the context of it. But without context, without knowing why that suit looks like that could have been the first suit Hal Jordan ever. We don't know. So a lot of the conjecture around it I thought was kind of ridiculous because we don't know. We don't know why, how, and when, and how. We don't know how the ring works. We know how the ring works in the comic books, but we're not watching a comic book. We're watching a show. We're watching a movie. So I just want to be, leave some room for interpretation. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Larry William. Did you hear that Kristen Bell has officially signed off for? Yes, I did. He might be playing Pacino as he used. Shit. Also, DiCaprio and talk. I think DiCaprio is already there. I think all these guys are already signed on, which is great. I'm not the biggest fan of prequels, but it's Michael Mann. It's Heat. I'm gonna go see this. I mean, because I know whenever you do a prequel, especially in a movie where a lot of the people are some of the main principals don't make it past the one you've seen, you kind of know. It's like when I'm watching Obi-Wan and they're fighting out in the desert. And I'm like, dude, I wonder who wins here. Oh, neither one of them. Jeez. So yeah, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about this. Allergies, guys. Sorry. Okie dokie, where was I at? Oops. I'll answer a few more questions. I like to too. I wish studios weren't so trigger happy to copyright channels that are promoting. Yeah, and I know I'm going to get hit. And like I said, if you were watching this, and I'll put a note in the description that if you are watching this and all of a sudden there's like a chunk or I'm off air or there's a chunk out of that part that I had to take out, just know that we watched the trailer. I don't have too many problems with Warner Brothers because we have a partnership with them and we work with them on promoting movies and promoting TV shows. However, lately, you never know. Sometimes they just demonetize it, which is fine. Other times they just completely take it down. So I haven't heard anybody having their shit taken down yet. So, but like I've told you before, I am, I'm fine with it if they do. Everything. I mean, the trailer, the teaser, bled Green Lantern. I mean, from the rings, you got to see close-ups of the rings. You literally had him introduce himself as a Green Lantern. So yeah, there's nothing about that trailer that wasn't Green Lantern in my opinion, but that's just me. And like, keep in mind, guys, I am 100% full disclosure. biased because I love the work that Damon Lindelof has done. I love the tone he sets. The only other superhero thing that he did, I really love. I think it's some of the best superhero television I've ever seen, and that's Watchmen. And I urge you guys, if you're curious to how, hold on for a second. That was a sneeze. I urge you, if you have not watched Watchmen, 2019's Watchmen, I think it's the best comic book TV show I've ever seen. Limited or otherwise. So, yeah, I'm excited, but once again, I'm biased because I love the man's work, and I've been waiting for this ever since they told me the premise of it. And from what I can tell in this teaser, that premise of the whole true detective type of mystery type of situation, that looks exactly like what they're doing there, and I'm happy about it. So my excitement may be not something that will track with someone else because someone else might be looking for something else. It all depends, and that's why it's all subjective, but. What kind of bothered me was just some of the old, the stale old. This is the best. I mean, and then people with the pictures today were just some of the cosplay stuff was pretty good. Some of it was so bad you had no business sharing it. Some of the people out there were sharing things that literally I couldn't take them seriously anymore. I'm like, are you trying to be laughed at here? Are you seriously thinking that thing that you posted there belongs on something that someone paid to have made? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, why don't we let those people do that? And then whatever you're good at, and preface is one thing, but most of us are unqualified to do this. That's why most of us are not doing it. But not to invalidate the opinion, but you have to understand having an opinion and understanding where you are at in qualifications. We don't know the story, the type of tone he's setting. I mean, we don't even know if that's the final costume. Just because that's hanging in his closet with some other costumes doesn't necessarily mean we already see that on his back. I mean, he may have some kick-ass costume that he creates from his ring that ends up having everybody drop down to their knees and say, oh my God, I can't, this is the rapture. So we've only seen a teaser. Why should calm down a little bit. Might be a relatability thing, but and also that's another thing to point out here is I'm wondering when this takes place because Guy Gardner has been introduced as a Green Lantern. So he would, for him to not talk to him. So that I'm thinking that this story, and they have to clarify it for me, that this story may take place before Guy Gardner gets a ring. So this might be something that's already happened. That's another thing I'd like to hear in an actual full-on trailer. Yeah, and he won me over there. He won me over there. I don't know, Aaron. Aaron asked, could we be saying? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not in there at all ever, and it wouldn't surprise me if he is. I don't know enough about what they planned or what they're doing, but I theoretically he could be there. The tension between John and Hal is parallel to the tension you see between the different branches of the. Yeah, not only that, but there's a generation gap there too. There's an old school Wild West mentality, and there's a structured discipline, mentality. So yeah, I'm looking to see. I'm interested to see how they play off each other. Yeah, I found funny. One of them's a fucking squirrel. I thought that was hilarious. We won't even get on North because there's some ridiculous Green Lanterns out there. and he would be the squirrel from Superman. I saw somebody show that Superman saving the squirrel. That'd be hilarious. But I think that it's not a when he says it's a squirrel, it's an alien race. Just like Nort is not a dog, it's an alien race that looks like that. So yeah. How you doing, Dan the Man? Trying to get to as many as you guys' comments as possible. Bro, I can't stand people all of a sudden boosting up 2011 Geo movie like it's some masterpiece. After all these years, I'm like, we as a fandom for DC have fallen from grace and dignity. I listen, and I have not made any secret about this movie. And there's a lot of good people that got together to make that movie. To me, it just didn't come together. That movie hurts my eyes. And I really don't like that costume. And that's a case where sometimes as a creator, you got to do your thing. You can take obviously you're taking the skeleton of what you're doing and the bones of what you're doing from the comic books, but you have to refine it to tell your story to an audience of moviegoers. And I don't think that movie looked like it was made for me, but like 8-year-old me. I mean, I did not like that movie. I mean, like Sinestro. I mean, I think Sinestro is the only thing I don't even watch that movie over again. But you know what? Other people will defend it. Other people like it, and I let them. But I don't think we should be using that as a reference point to this. A, we're not in 2011 anymore, and B, it's an awful movie. But hey. I always prefer Jon Stewart as Green Lantern, but maybe it's because it's a first introduced Green Lantern. Yeah, a lot of people first introduction, an entire generation was introduced in the 90s after even Hal Jordan stopped being Green Lantern in the comics. Remember, it was the mid 90s when that cartoon premiered, and it was the mid 90s where Kyle Rayner took over for Hal Jordan. So a lot of people, both in cartoon and in Papers and Staples, were introduced to other Green Lanterns because of the absence. But yeah, but Jon Stewart had been around like a quarter of a century before that cartoon, and and he actually played a prominent role in Green Lantern stories and would lead the book. So they've done a good job showcasing Jon Stewart as a legitimate Green Lantern, as a legitimate principal in the book. Unlike a situation with Batman where you can't. If you were to try to do something without Hal Jordan, you have Jon Stewart, but Batman out Bruce Wayne, you can't do it. You can do it with Green Lantern because of the way the Green Lantern set up and because of how Jon Stewart has come up and been prominent. There's not a time during the last 50 some odd years since he's been around that he hasn't had a prominent role in all these Green Lantern stories. So even when he was a Dark Star and he would mentor Kyle Rayner. So yeah, a lot of people can relate to Jon Stewart. Hold on for a second. These allergies are tearing me up. The other night when I kept going off screen, I was sneezing so hard. No shit. My nose started bleeding. And I kept on having to go off the screen because I didn't want to stop the show because we were right in the middle of like some serious stuff. But yeah, I had to keep going out because I was sneezing so hard that my nose was like, oh, it was bad. And I took some allergy stuff, prescription allergy stuff. It's helping, but man, the wind's coming and going. It's my time of year. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people who peed on Baby S watch it now and they feel differently about it. A lot of people who pissed on Man of Steel watch it now and it's just different. A lot of that was just the time too. So Arun, long time to see. I love the teaser and thought it was great. I saw someone on Twitter say it looked like Taylor Sheridan's Lanterns. That's interesting. That's an interesting take, actually. Oh, that's not a question, Aaron. No, I've already determined we're doing a watch party for lanterns. As soon as I find out the schedule for lanterns, not only are we doing watch parties for lanterns, we're doing live watch parties, which means I will have an audience of geeks in there with me as I stream, kind of like we did years and years ago for Game of Thrones, when we did House of the Dragon, when we were at the Square Bar. This time, we're going to be in an area where I can interact with the fans. I will have the camera on them. We will be talking. And I will be going back and forth. We will have a studio audience for lanterns, and we will be live streaming and doing a show on. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be doing that. I was ready to do it now. I have lantern rings that were in the process of being made, and then I halted the production once we got delayed to whenever. But yeah, everybody will have their lantern ring, and they'll have to wear it to the screening. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, not everything needs to be fluff. We have enough fluff. For those of you who like fluff, that's fine. I don't think you any lesser of a Homo sapien. But we have enough fluff. We have enough fluff. It's time to get down to the nuts and bolts, damn it. Oh my God, I saw someone complaining about the Landers not being kid-friendly. It's so freaking stupid. It's on HBO Max. So there's nothing on HBO Max evening on a Sunday night, which I'm assuming this will be on, that is kid-friendly. As a matter of fact, that'll be their first failed show. The first kid-friendly thing that they put on HBO on Sunday nights, that is a failed show. I guarantee you. You can forget about that. Kid friendly is so freaking stupid that it was never said to be for that demo. Plus, it's HBO. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Not everything needs to be. Listen, guys, kids in the 30s and the 40s were different than the kids from the 50s and the 60s. The world changed and produced kids that were different. Those kids that were watching, opening up walking past the newsstand to get their comics right next to a front page where Dillinger's got both of his eyes shot out. Or they were dealing. If you were in the Midwest, if you were in the cities, you were dealing with the violence that mobsters and prohibition brought out. You were watching. You were hearing things about World War. I mean, that generation produced a different type of kid. And when we got into the 50s and 60s, there was less tolerance. So, but when we tell these stories about these characters, it's sometimes there are some creators that go back to what the genesis of those characters are, and a lot of it is dark, a lot of it is violence because the world that they came from was. Even if they've gone off the beaten path and gotten Adam West with it, or cartoonish with it, most movie makers might want to go back to what they feel is the core of the character, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of them do not, and even some of them, I don't think they suck. I just think they don't. I don't think that some of them articulate their point in a productive way. I'll just leave it at that. Why would the Landers uniform be in the closet? The same reason it's in the closet here. I'm just without. Sean, without, and I'm not trying to be snarky, but without knowing what Damon Lindelof's plan is, I can only assume that at some point that he did not use the ring to construct the costume. That it is something like he did when he first got the ring. He took the costume off of the alien pilot and put it on, and then started using the ring. So there's a precedent. It's not a more recently used precedent, but if you're doing this IP, you probably studied a lot of that. And also maybe Lindelof has elected that the ring never has created his costume. So out of context, the only answer I can give you, Sean, but I can tell you that there is precedent earlier in the earlier days of the costume being hung up somewhere, and that is something that he kept the ring on, but he could use the ring without the costume. So that's all. I mean, we'll learn more. I got always want to remind you is we only saw that hanging in the closet for like a second. For all we know, that's the only time we ever see that during the whole series. So keep that in mind as well. I want to hear the Green Lantern's oath, Black as Night. You may hear it. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Let's see. I don't want to see Guy Gardner at all, but I know we're going to. So, but I don't know if we're going to see that in this season though, because this may take place before the events of Superman and before Hal Jordan and before Guy Gardner even becomes a Green Lantern. So the next time you see the Green Lanterns again, it's been years since this, and there already been, John Stewart's already been a good Green Lantern. This could be 5 years in the future. We don't know. We just don't know. Watch Lanterns be a big hit. I just watch and switch up. Hey, listen, here's the thing, Jalen. I've let go of those people. I'm just going to watch what makes me happy. We went through a period in time where it was just hard to watch, and you couldn't commune with people because everybody was a dick and wanted to join, Team Marvel or Team BC. And I just wanted to watch the stuff that made me happy, and that's what I want to do now. So I'm gonna let go of those people and let them do their thing, for the most part. Let's see. Yeah. Some of these were awful. You guys, I'm going to let you guys pick and choose which ones that you think are good and that look good. Some of these that I saw on either Instagram or Twitter and a lot of places were like, are you serious? This aluminum foil shit that somebody spray painted green, and even some of the ones that looked good, I disqualified. And the reason being is because does that fit Damon Lindelof's vision? And obviously it does not, at least as far as we've seen. So it's great that you can come up with a lantern costume that looks great. That's all awesome. Kudos to you. And when you tell your story, apply the shit out of that. But I don't think it's cool to force what you think the Green Lantern should look like on this particular storyteller without even seeing what he's gotten. I mean, you can have an opinion about it, but I think Damon Lindelof is qualified to do this. This is not his first superhero rodeo. Let's see. Yeah, it's allergies. It's more of an annoyance. I mean, I kept it when it first started creeping down and I first started feeling it get down here. I took a lot of stuff and I took, I hit it up with, went to the doctor and got prescriptions and took days off from things that I usually don't like to do just so that I could fight it because I could feel it coming on. We had a lot of wind, and once my allergies can get debilitating. And I right now, I definitely don't need to be taken out of the game. So I'm doing all right for right now. I mean, I have a couple cough here. Mostly sneezing and then dryness. I've taken some stuff that will eventually take care of the nose bleeding when it gets really super dry and windy out here. Let's see. Okay, cool. So Taladia's still up. So hey, fingers crossed, knock on wood. Let's hope we stay up. Paul, Lantern's trailer reminded me of the Green Lantern, Green Arrow comics that were drawn by Neil Adams. I got that feel too. Also, a lot of people were bringing up Earth 1 Green Lantern. I haven't read Earth 1 Green Lantern in like 15 years. But I looked at some of the costume comparisons to what was hanging in the closet, and it does look like he may have been inspired by that. I think so. I think so. I think the tone would have been lines right up with it with DCU. The look and feel of lanterns and chemistry. I 100% agree. I can see the Jarhead in Jon Stewart if that's what they're going with, and I can see the old school. No matter what service, the guy who's been there, done that, and knows there's more to see than the brand new guy that's being trained. I mean, that buddy, senior, junior, and I love the way he's calling him junior. That's hilarious. That senior, junior has been done over and over again in movies of all sorts, but when it's done right, it never fails. You prefer when John's an architect as opposed to Marine. I actually like. I'm okay with whatever his whatever they used in any pre-crisis, post-crisis, whatever given time. I'm okay with all those stories. I think that the military aspect works here because of the different branch of service that there's always friction there, and the way senior military people, some of them are a little bit. They're not as strict. They've grown looser, and I think that if John is a Marine in this one, then the young Marine, the discipline, and when he says we both know that I'm, being a Green Lantern is about protecting people, and you and I know I'm better at that. He's probably looking at things like, the historical, because he's considered like a Tom Cruise, like a Maverick type of character. He makes his own rules. Doesn't always go by the rules. And here's a guy in Jon Stewart who's just now reading the rule book, and Hal has already read it and tossed it away. I like the look and feel of the show. Hold on. Look and feel of the show. I think Landers is going to surprise people, and the director knows how to make a great show. Yeah. It's there's a lot of people who had the knives out for Damon Lindelof when it came to Watchmen, and he pulled that off magnificently. So I'm happy. Is Kyle Rayner the Tim Drake of comics? No. Kyle Rayner was thrusted into the main role immediately. I mean, he was not a sidekick. In fact, when Kyle Rayner became Green Lantern, there was no other Green Lanterns to really, help him because of what Hal Jordan had done. They could be lantern suits. It depends on what the premise is, Antonio. If are we using the rings? Do the rings make the costumes, or is that a preference? Maybe Hal, you might have a situation where Hal puts on a costume where John makes one out of his ring. That might be a generational gap there. So I don't know. I looked like they were, though, because I think I saw the logo on another one, but without context, I couldn't tell you, but I think so. I'm guessing a lot of people have not read Green Lantern Earth 1 because that what it looks like. It looks like the costume. If you look at the costume, hold on, let me bring this up. Trying to find a good one. So there you go right here. So let's share this. So there's one. There's a good picture of it right there. Am I going? So you can't see that. Yeah. So here's stop this. So there's a good close up of it. So we don't, and we also don't know. We also haven't seen it in action yet either. So once he's wearing the costume, we don't know what effect the ring will have on the costume because he doesn't, he has the ring separate from if the costume's hanging in there. What does this costume look like? Does it get, does it start glowing? I mean, we don't know any of that yet. So we've only seen the teaser. So that's the Earth One costume. So that's what people are referencing when they say that. All right, about to wrap this up real quick because I got a long day ahead of me. Well, it's going to be like a gag. I mean, we're going to hand you a ring, when you enter, and you need to be wearing that ring when you show up. And I might be like, get out, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't really do that. But it'd be kind of a cool gimmick that if you had the ring for how many episodes we have. Even the MCU, though, Antonio, if you look at it, a lot of the MCU is kind of dark. People focus on the fluff, but the MCU is a good. I think the MCU has a good balance of darkness. It's just that their stories will turn that way sometimes. Where I think the genesis of a lot of DC's characters come from darkness, whereas Marvel, 20 some odd years later, and what I call the era of color, when we didn't have the Kennedy assassination, we didn't have the Vietnam War on TV, we didn't have the Civil Rights era on TV, where we were really, as a society, living in as close to a utopia as we were going to be. And then as the world changed, those characters changed. But DC's characters come from World War II era. We know what was going on in World War II. We know that it's one of the biggest catastrophes of all time. DC's characters come from 30s when there was open gang warfare, and the kids saw that. So you couldn't really sell a kid, fluff in that era because it's because they wouldn't pick it up. It'd be a joke. They'd come out their front door and see more action than they would in these comic books. So a lot of these comic books were based on a lot of that. So it's just a different era. But if you are doing these characters, a lot of filmmakers want to go back to the roots, and the roots are different when you're talking about the two different IPs. I guess that's subjective then, because I got chills down my spine with vibes of Green Lanterns of this, but it's all subjective. Hi, Bell Rev. What's going on? Wombat William, you've been right on this so many times. People are still looking for James Gunn through MCU. Yeah, and the same thing that they did the same thing with Zack Snyder. They did the same thing with Zack Snyder, and it really hurt the DCEU. It really hurt the progression because the executives, being in those positions, should have known better than to respond to that madness, and they did, and it derailed their train. Now they're trying to do it over again, and it's not only this is like a comic book is a comic book. It lends itself to a certain way of storytelling and a look and a feel. You need the brilliance, and the colors and everything in a comic book, in most comic books. When you're telling a story that when you're putting these superheroes in relatable situations, you just, some people have made an adjustment and some fans can't take that. And, Yeah, and by the way, even though we've only seen them on Earth and that they've said the story, there's no way you're going to have Green Lanterns not dealing with space elements. Maybe not this season, but whatever they're dealing with is probably something that is not from Earth anyway. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. Yeah, and I wonder what those weird ass humans are doing. You haven't seen the teaser? Yeah, we just watched it here. Hold on. Do I remember the rumors when Nathan Fillion was rumored to be a Green Lantern and we thought it was going to be Hal Jordan? He's more suited for Guy. Yeah, he is. But I think Nathan Fillion would have had the range to be either one, but they chose. I wish they hadn't, but they chose Guy. Absolute Green Lantern. Huh? There's one. All right. Did you like how Jordan did? Yeah, I thought it was cool. You know, yeah, it's going to be a different take on Green Lantern, but I think it's going to be recognizable as Green Lantern. I'm so looking forward to this. So. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to do is review the trailer and give you my opinion about it, and just kind of address some of the stuff I've been hearing and seeing. It's like, what are you guys doing? I hope we get a full on trailer, and then at that point we'll revisit it. But I think it looks good. It is right along the lines I thought that we will be getting from this particular creator director, and from what I so far so good. I'm having a good time getting excited for this. So Larry with a $10 super chat. William, I had a dream that I had some time travelers from the past in my car, and I wanted to lock them in so they wouldn't astray, but didn't realize it was probably illegal to lock up people in the car. Yeah, it's kidnapping. It's kidnapping. I don't know how it would fail with time travelers, but I'm assuming the laws would apply. Kidnapping laws would apply. Thank you for the $10 super chat, and thank you for all the support you've given the channel. All right, guys. I will try. I may be getting the keys to the new place tomorrow, in which case I'm going to immediately start moving. If I still have more administrative stuff to do in regards to our move, then I may be on the air tomorrow for our Thursday Night Live. Depending on how long it takes to get the administrative stuff signed and everything and get the keys to it, I may be on the air. But if I get the keys sooner than later, then I will probably not be on the air, because I'm going to try to get this done as soon as possible. So. Okie dokie. All right. And if that's the case, and I may see you tomorrow. If not, the next time I most likely will see you will be Sunday. Actually, no, we will be doing a show Friday, regardless to the status of the move, because I promised you guys we're going to do Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, episodes 1 and 2 of season 2. And I don't want to fall too far behind that with you. So we will be back on, on Friday and at some point in time to at least get that out of the way. Yeah, no more worries about the roof, but primarily the elevator not consistently working is my biggest thing. Like being able to get the percentage of my customers back that I've lost because of them not being able to get to me has been a pain in the ass. So. Yeah, I'll have to update my website, business cards, business license, the whole deal, but I will happily do so under these circumstances. All right, guys, that'll be it. I will talk to you when I see you, hopefully sooner than later, but we will roll with reality. So talk to you then.